Good afternoon and welcome to you wherever you are across the world for this one part of a dramatic climax to this FA Women's Super League season. Reading versus Manchester City is our game, and of course we'll have plenty of eyes elsewhere. The Royals looking to finish on a high after being without a victory in their last 10. Meanwhile, wins very easy for Manchester City to come by recently. 12 victories in a row, and they know that even a draw would be enough to secure that third and final precious UEFA Women's Champions League spot, bar the pretty much impossible scenario of Manchester United winning by 10 goals against potential champions Chelsea, and that's not really going to happen. But I'm sure City will want to finish in style with a 13th straight win in all competitions to round off the league season before they head into the FA Cup final. But pre-match, a nice moment for Brooke Chaplin. She's getting the appreciation and respect that she deserves. At the end of January, she was found to have had a cancerous tumour at the top of her fibula. Had an operation to remove the tumour that was successful, but that operation meant a couple of knee ligaments were also removed. And that has resulted, unfortunately, in her having to retire. The 33-year-old striker receiving a lovely shirt that will proudly go on the mantelpiece, I'm sure, from Reading's head coach and director of football, Kelly Chambers. And it is, of course, that time of year where players will move on in the summer across teams right around the league, to the disappointment of fans, and Chaplin has been something of a fan's favourite here in Berkshire over the years. Grabbing a nice snap to remember the occasion as well, and a bottle of fizz. A nice touch pre-match. And speaking of nice touches as well, you might have spotted there that Tash Harding, for whom this will be her last game for Reading, has got the captain's armband on. She'll be looking to go out in style, I'm sure. We can turn our attention to more news on the Reading team for today that Kelly Chambers has picked as they try and grab a first WSL victory since the 2-1 win against Everton, which was way back on the 6th of February. One change for Reading from last time out, and that is that Tash Harding comes into the side and captains the experienced Danish international. Sanne Troelsgaard makes way for that. A change from the side that drew 0-0 at home against Leicester City back on Sunday, the 1st of May. Gemma Evans keeps up her run of having made an appearance in every WSL match so far this season, as does Harding. Not too many options on the bench due to a series of issues surrounding availability of various players, down to just 6 on the substitutes bench for Reading, 2 of which are the backup keepers. Turning our attention to Manchester City, and they make 2 changes from the side that hit Birmingham City for 6 in midweek to relegate them. And that sees Demi Stokes drop out down that left flank, and Julie Blackstad, who is already starting to show what she can do in City colours since signing from Rosengard in January, comes in down that left flank. And meanwhile, the second change sees Chloe Kelly come in for Hayley Rasso, and the fact that they can make 2 changes like that shows you the ridiculous amount of depth that Manchester City have at their disposal. Of course, that win against Birmingham City took that 1 step closer to third. They start today 2 points clear of Manchester United, and also they are 9 better off on goal difference. So realistically, the only way that they're not going to finish third, Manchester City, is by finding a way to end up losing this game, which would be a shock result, and for Mark Skinner's Manchester United to win today at Chelsea. Of course, they're in a title fight with Arsenal. Chelsea starting the day 1 point clear of the Gunners. Arsenal away at West Ham. Meanwhile, Spurs versus Leicester, 5th versus 11th, and the second City derby, Aston Villa versus Birmingham City, 9th against 12th. Rounds off your fixtures, all starting at the same time, of course, on this final day. But before kick-off, a moment to take a stand by taking a knee against all forms of racism and discrimination, something that the women's game has led particularly well on in terms of sport rightly being a space for us all to enjoy together, regardless of your identity. Often running here in Berkshire, Reading attacking from left to right as we look at things in their traditional blue and white hoops. Manchester City in that very, very deep blue kit. It's blue bordering on almost black as they attack from right to left in this first half in the lovely sunshine of spring that brings about a sense of optimism. There certainly will be a large amount of optimism that Manchester City can complete the job today. They've worked so hard to get into this position after injury crises of all injury crises in the first half of the season that left them in so much trouble. Weir. Alex Greenwood. Andy Roebuck quite happy to come out and play sweeper keeper. Bronze. 1 point to note here as well is it's a big pitch here at the Madejski, and that's going to help Manchester City, particularly as a side that really like to create overloads and try and create opportunities, particularly down the flanks. Bronze and Blackstad will need no second invites to get forward beyond the flying wingers of Kelly and Hemp. Cooper. Woodham. Van Hevermaat. Nice 1-2. Crossfield pass. It's just about kept alive by Bryson. And just fouls Blackstad. Not much in it, but just a hand on the back was enough to draw the referee's wrath. Roebuck again, keen to bring it forward. And Roebuck, who had a long period of time out injured this season. Certainly been a help to Manchester City since coming back, no doubt. Back with Alex Greenwood, recently named as the Manchester City Women's Official Supporters Club Player of the Season. And she's found Hemp. Hemp's in behind here. Hemp's cross, just about cut out. Well, that was all too easy for Manchester City. Great vision and a lovely pass from Greenwood, but you have to ask how Lauren Hemp has got that much room in just the 3rd minute of this game. Just managed to get in behind Faye Bryson. Almost found Khadija Bunny short. Promising signs if you're a Manchester City fan. Of course, it's not like they've been short of goals, to say the very least. Been finding plenty of them recently. Scored 6 against Birmingham City, 7 against Brighton last weekend, 4 against Leicester as well at home. 17 across those last 3 games, and it's been a trend going longer than that. Greenwood on for Blackstad, nice shimmy. Well cut out, now here's Harding. Harding forward looking for the pace of Rose. And that's really nicely won in midfield. There's Rowe there, he's still fighting for it against Stanway. Greenwood's robbed of it. Chance this for Reading. Good covering defence from Alana Kennedy. Weir. Nicely worked. And touch on from Shaw, who's back there linking the play. Now Bronze. Doesn't need a second invite to get forward, Lucy Bronze. And Roebuck coming out in between the centre halves. Nice driven ball from Roebuck. Blackstad has room. Manchester City in the 4-3-3 system that's been one of the 2 main tactical setups that Gareth Taylor's preferred to use this year. Hemp can't get onto that. City have somewhat oscillated between a 4-3-3 and then also a 4 at the back, with a sort of narrow boxed 4 in the midfield. That's often seen Ellen White dropping deep to link the play a lot, with the highest players up the pitch for them actually being the 2 wingers out on the left and right flanks respectively. So it's become sort of something of a 4-2-2-2. Reading with plenty of tactically flexible players of their own. Kelly Chambers often known over the years here for liking quite a narrow midfield diamond. And there was quite a bit of debate up here in the press box today about quite how Reading were going to play this one. Various teams have been trying various ways to stop Manchester City tactically recently, and a few of them have been working, you'd have to say. Rose, who can be really dangerous. Rose has got onto the 1-2. Rose's cross. Difficult skill that, trying to execute it. She was, even with her excellent pace, fighting to get there and keep the ball alive. Rose, who's been such an impressive player for Reading since joining from the Florida Gators in the summer, of course. Olympic gold medalist with Canada. Blackstad forward. Hemp trying to get there. Beaten 2 at Lauren Hemp, who's been magnificent for club and country this season, has really gone to another level. And as much as we're getting into the summer transfer window, where there's so much chat about recruitment and excitement across the Women's Super League in terms of who you'll bring in, don't forget the importance of contract retention, keeping the best players you've got. Manchester City, of course, tying Lauren Hemp down to a new contract in the middle of this season. And that has only shown itself to be increasingly valuable as time's gone on. Greenwood on. Blackstad. Shaw. We just couldn't quite bring it down. Stanway. This is very good from Manchester City. Worked in. And away by Van Hevermaert. Dowie links play well. Rose up against Greenwood, and Rose almost got through there. That's the kind of threat that she offers on the counter-attack. Nicely won by Weir. Here's Shaw. Reading's defence a long way from set here. Stanway. Blackstad. Stanway might hit one. Thought about it. Now Kelly. Kelly's cross. Headed away by Harding. Still not gone, the danger. Blackstad's shot blocked by Harding. Hemp. Still Hemp. Stanway. Stanway to strike one. Saved by Maloney. Living dangerously here, Reading. Good spell of pressure for Manchester City. It didn't quite come off. But they have started as you would expect a team that have won 12 games in a row to start. Shaw. He's been fighting for starts this season, Khadija Bunny Shaw. 25 appearances for Manchester City, only 14 starts. Now Weir. Stanway. Kelly. In by Bronze. Hemp's header. Really piling the pressure on here. One back there by Bryson. Now Rose looks up and sees a wall of deep blue Manchester City shirts. Foul in there just relieves the pressure on Reading. They're winless in their last 10 matches across all competitions, 9 in the FA WSL. Just 3 points in those 9 games as well. It is their longest winning run since the 2016 season, when, having just got promoted into the division, having won what was known then as WSL 2, now known as the FA Women's Championship. Reading didn't win in their first 13 games of the season. In fact, they only actually won 1 game all season, but they still just about managed to stay up, and since then have built season on season thanks to Kelly Chambers' excellent work. Best season under Chambers, finishing 4th in the 17-18 campaign, then finished 5th again, and then 7th last season. And today, depending on how it all shakes out, could finish as high as 6th if they could grab an unlikely win here. And then Hope Pals Brighton failed to win at home against Everton, and West Ham United ended up losing against Arsenal. Can't finish lower than 8th Reading because they're 4 points clear of Aston Villa. Ball through, looking for Hemp, who will have the pace to get there. Hemp inside. Covering defence is good. You can hear those Manchester City fans making themselves heard. There's plenty of them that have come down. The club have provided a coach especially. Something very welcome to see that is starting to appear more and more in the women's game. Prominent vocal presence of away fans in grounds. It adds a huge amount to the atmosphere and colour of the occasion. Bronze inside. Stanway. Weir can hit them from here. Blocked by Van Havermaet. Blackstad. Recycled by Walsh. So quietly excellent at the base of that Manchester City midfield so often. Kira Walsh, of course, recently passing 200 appearances for the club, chasing Steph Horton's record. Well, she's 208th today. Horton, out injured for the rest of the season, has 209. Walsh will be able to go level with her in the cup final at Wembley. Should be a great occasion on the 15th of May. Tickets still on sale, and even if you're not a Chelsea or Manchester City fan, well worth going to see that showpiece. Weir. Back with Greenwood, who's been a revelation since switching from left back to a left centre back role this season. Here's Shaw, chests it down, Shaw to shoot. Just drags it wide, Khadija Bunny Shaw. But that is what she's all about. Lovely technique here to bring it down. It's just the snapshot that wasn't quite on target. Great ball in by Weir, splitting the centre-backs who got in each other's way briefly as well. She's had a very good first season in a Manchester City shirt, Khadija Bunny Shaw, no doubt about that. Joined from Bordeaux. Won't surprise you to know his goal-scoring strike rate of better than a goal a game for the Jamaican national team too. Reading trying to create something. Rose, dangerous when she gets going up against the equally quick Blackstad. Nice check inside. Rose's clever ball in. It almost has come back for Rose as well. Just hustled out of it in the end, but that is the danger that the Canadian offers on the break. Jan Rose, who's had such a good first season for Reading. Really testing the Manchester City backline there. Just trying to just slide it through for the on-rushing row with Dowie in and around the box area as well. Blackstad. City unsurprisingly having a lot more of the ball. That is probably what was to be expected, regardless of Reading having home advantage. Greenwood forward. And offside. Alex Greenwood, though, again demonstrating something that the stats confirm, but that you can also somewhat tell with the naked eye as well, that she is the very best progressive passer out of the back in the Women's Super League this season. Such a good distributor. And her move into centre-back more came from the absolutely ridiculous injury crisis that Manchester City had. They've got a very big and deep squad. Some say on the circuit the very best and deepest squad in the WSL, even more so than Chelsea or Arsenal, but they had more than an entire 11 of players out for the entire first half of the season. Problems particularly in the goalkeeping and defence department, leaving Georgia Stanway at right back and Jill Scott at centre half alongside Greenwood for lengthy periods, with third or fourth choice goalkeeper having to be called on, with Ellie Roebuck and Karen Bardsley both out. And that obviously had an effect on where they found themselves. It's been quite the recovery. Forward from Harding, here's Dowie. Still Dowie up against Kennedy. Just lost her footing for a moment. Rowe's cross. And City can clear. Has been goals flying in elsewhere. Such is the nature of the final day of the season with so much at stake. There's a keen eye on them. And just as I was about to bring you news of one that's gone in at Kingsmeadow, there's actually been another. Manchester United went in front 5 minutes or so ago. Katie Zellum assisting Martha Thomas. Chelsea have just equalised in that one, which of course has implications both for Manchester City in the race for third, and then Chelsea and Arsenal's title battle. Stanway. Of course, realistically, Manchester City only need a draw. Hemp's ball in. Chelsea equalising through Erin Cuthbert, who's been so superb for them recently. Elsewhere, Birmingham lead at Aston Villa. That game, of course, with a lot of local pride on it, but nothing in terms of actual ramifications when it comes to the table on the final day. Albeit Aston Villa and Everton are jostling for 9th and 10th. Blackstad. Hemp. Hemp inside. Stanway. Kelly. Kelly makes room. Kelly's shot over the bar. Just got underneath it. I'll credit to Reading. Defending deep. They're defending diligently. And they're making Manchester City do something spectacular to open the deadlock. And that certainly would have been spectacular from Chloe Kelly. So good to see her back out on a pitch doing what she does best after almost exactly a year out. Felt quite fitting that, having picked up that nasty injury against Birmingham City at the back end of last season, it was against Birmingham City in midweek that she got her first WSL goal since returning to action. Of course, scored in the FA Cup win against West Ham as well. Helped see City through to yet another final, a competition in which they have so much good history. Kelly links up with Hemp. They both set each other up for a goal in midweek. Played long towards Rose. Rowe tenaciously battling for it. Now Weir. Hemp. Hemp's little slip ball through, was trying to find Weir. Wasn't far away. Now he's scrapping for it on halfway with Greenwood. Here goes Blackstad. Player to keep an eye on, scored a really special goal against Leicester City a few weeks back to open her Manchester City goal account. Picked up in January from Rosenborg. Now speaking to one coach of a top European club who are regularly at the latter stages of the Champions League, they said that, in their words, not mine, half of Europe was after her. She'll be a top player. She's an explosive left winger. You don't see many of those left-footed wide players who are special in the attacking third. I know that said head coach was slightly green with envy that Manchester City had ended up with Blackstad, shall we say. Forward by Roebuck. Forward by Maloney, I should say. Roebuck's not seen the ball for quite a long time. Here's Kelly. Was looking for Bronze, well cut out by Woodham. For all Manchester City's pressure, Reading haven't done a lot wrong at the back. Woodham's clearance. Now Bronze. And we'll come back. But just a slight foul in there on Bronze initially that we were playing advantage from. Set piece in a dangerous area. Could be a really good angle for Alex Green with this. In fact, it will be Chloe Kelly with the outswinger. I was wondering whether it might be Greenwood with the classic in-swinging arcing angle that's going in at that back post. Kelly over the set piece. Kelly's ball in. And wide it goes. And Shaw frustrated. Midway through the first half, Manchester City pushing and probing, but they haven't actually really tested Grace Maloney yet in the home goal. Khadija Bunny Shaw looking for yet another to add to her impressive tally this season. Shaw's got 15. Georgia Stanway's up to 13 after a brace in midweek. Caroline Weir has 14. Lauren Hemp out in front in the Manchester City goal charts with 19. Here goes Rose. Got him behind Manchester City here. Rose's ball in. Was well dealt with at the expense of a corner. Good work on the counter-attack for Reading, who've been one of the best teams on the counter in the WSL this season. And Deanne Rose has been a big part of that. Won't surprise you to know. For electric, lung-busting runs. That was another one of them. Rachel Rowe to deliver Reading's first corner of the game. Headed half away and then skied over. Not testing Ellie Roebuck that time. Is Lily Woodham trying her luck? Woodham, the 21-year-old, who's one of a large number of Welsh players at Reading. Alongside the likes of Bethan Roberts, Rachel Rowe, Gemma Evans, Tash Harding. Previous seasons, Jess Fishlock has been here as well. The Welsh football legend is a market that Kelly Chambers knows particularly well and operates into very good effect. And because of the way the geography of the Women's Super League breaks down, it's situation where Reading find themselves the closest club to that market. Of course, Bristol City went down last season into the Championship and weren't able to get promoted back at the first opportunity. That bids Liverpool coming up. They'll swap places with Birmingham City. Big goals gone in elsewhere that of course affects this and will just make Manchester City supporters a bit nervous. Heather Toone has put Manchester United back in front. Attacking midfielder assisted by Leah Galton. Blackstad in there and wins Manchester City a corner. Now remember, of course, that unless Manchester United are going to win that game by 10 clear goals, which would be one of the all-time biggest defeats the league's ever seen, and would be about as many goals as as Chelsea have conceded all season. A draw is enough for Manchester City, but we'll just set a few nerves on the blue side of Manchester. Kelly's in, swinging corner. In it comes. Flicked half away. Kennedy there. Got her first for the club in midweek. Back in by Walsh. Greenwood just couldn't quite keep it under control. We're having to fight for it in there. It's a bit of a hot potato. Played on by Shaw. Kelly. Kelly to strike one. Too close to Maloney. Chloe Kelly looking to double her tally for the season after her recent injury comeback. First remember watching Chloe Kelly in action when she scored two absolute screamers in a game I had the pleasure of commentating on against Bristol City. At the start of the 2019-20 season, where she really went to another level for Everton, and that was what led to Manchester City saying we'd quite like a bit of that in our team, and going on to sign Kelly. It is strange to think, such as the excellence of the level she's already reached, is still only 24. The world is truly still at her feet, and might well be a late bolter into Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses squad for the Euros this summer. Bryson on the run. Couldn't keep it in play. And of course, I say late bolter, not because Chloe Kelly would be a surprise selection, just more the fact that, of course, her injury has meant that she's not really been able to be a part of the Serena Wiegmann era with the Lionesses so far. Wiegmann, of course, he led the Netherlands to Euros glory. We'll be looking to do the same with the Lionesses this summer. It all kicks off at a sold-out Old Trafford. What a lovely thing to be able to say. England versus Austria on Wednesday the 6th of July. Don't worry, tickets available for plenty of other games. Shaw. Dealt with for now by Cooper. And he's got a drop on her hands dealing with Khadija Bunny Shaw. Well, they've had a lot of the ball, Manchester City, without necessarily creating what they'd have liked so far. But their game plan is built on wearing teams down as a match goes on. Score a lot of late goals. And the midweek game against Birmingham City was almost a perfect example. Took them nearly an hour to get there first. Went on to get 6. Walsh. Stanway. Hempon. Bronze's cross. By Van Hevermaat. Blackstad striking one. Hits her own teammate. Stanway strikes one as well. Neither make it through to Maloney. Hemp, who switched flanks. Lovely feet from Hemp. Hemp shot, side netting. It was a tight angle, even for a player with the excellence and also astonishing recent form that has been Lauren Hemp. 7 goals and 8 assists in her last 6 games for club and country. That speaks for itself, really. Of course, one big game to come for Manchester City after this, as they meet again with Chelsea in the battle of various shades of blue. City coming from behind 3-1 to win in the Conti Cup final as part of their excellent recovery this season. Finally breaking their duck against Emma Hayes' side. It was the first time they'd beaten them in the best part of 3 years. They'll look to do that again at Wembley on the 15th of May. Tickets on sale now, £20 for adults, £2.50 for kids. Well worth going along, regardless of your club colours. Certainly be a day and an occasion to remember. And then a few weeks off before the Euros. Reading looking to build something, and that's nicely done by Rose on the link play with Rowe. Ball forward for Rose, who's up against Bronze, and Rose has got the pace to get there. It's Rose! Wide. The pocket rocket that is Deanne Rose nearly has Reading in front. Devastating counter-attack from the Royals. Lovely link up with Rowe. And left Lucy Bronze for dead. Just couldn't quite get it on target, with Roebuck coming out to narrow the angle. Well, that is what Deanne Rose is all about. Such an exciting player to watch. Certainly one of, if not arguably, the signing of the season from last summer. And I know Reading will be very relieved that they've got her here on a 2-year contract. So you would think they don't really likely have to worry about her leaving in the summer. Stanway, well blocked by Van Havermaet. And in! Manchester City have their goal that could be so crucial in the quest for Europe. As they chase a 13th straight win, who else delivers for them but Lauren Hemp? They haven't really tested Maloney so far, but Lauren Hemp only needs a moment. Little dinked ball over the top, well taken down. And Hemp yet again delivers for Manchester City. An 8th goal in her last 7 games for club and country. Well, that will settle the nerves of Manchester City supporters. They might have a second to celebrate here. We're on for Hemp. It's Hemp once more, well tackled by Tash Harding. Hemp is down, on we go. Bryson. Kennedy. Remember, they only need a draw, realistically, Manchester City. The second goal really would allow Manchester City supporters to breathe easy. Bronze's cross, nodded down by Shaw. Maloney will get there. I know that on the Manchester City official supporters fancast, they've been talking about and reveling in how their side have improved in the second half of this season and the remarkable turnaround there's been. It's been a sentiment along the lines of this is the real City, in terms of showing everyone, reminding everyone of just how good they are. It is easy to forget just how disappointing the start of the season was for them. Lost 5 of their first 8 games at home. That defeat against Real Madrid in second round of Champions League qualifying, which meant that they didn't make it through to the group stages. Also had home defeat against Spurs after Rosella Rayan's controversial handball. The loss against West Ham, the 2 defeats against Chelsea. They found themselves in all sorts of trouble. Bronze. Caught by Maloney easily enough. That's where Manchester United remain 2-1 up. But now Manchester City have the lead. That will be slightly less of a concern for them about what Mark Skinner's side are doing at Kingsmeadow. Taylor saying in the build-up to this one, it's down to perseverance and hard work. Everyone's done tremendously well and worked tremendously hard to turn the season around. And we've done that. We've got 1 trophy in the locker and potentially another next week. Everyone wants Champions League football at this club, and certainly that squad that they've got is good enough to be competing on both a European and a domestic front. Greenwood on. Blackstad. Hemp. Still Hemp. Hemp's cross. Headed away by Cooper. Walsh. You could see what she was trying to do. Look for Bronze. The fullback's such a big part of how Manchester City attack. Walsh once more. On by Stanway. Bronze. Shaw. Shaw on the spin. Shaw to strike one, but it's straight at Maloney. Angle wasn't the best for Khadija Bunny Shaw. Who's made such an impact this season. I mentioned earlier that she's only started not far over half of the games that she's made an appearance in. Her goals per minute record is excellent. She's by not the only player in that regard for Manchester City. Wooden fouled by Stanway. Bronze. Looking for Kelly. Kelly slaloming inside. Now releases Weir. Weir! Not far away. Well, when Caroline Weir shoots from outside of the box, you're almost more surprised when she doesn't score these days. And for once, she was off target there. Manchester City fans all too familiar with the concept of a Weir worldie. This is Manchester United keeper Mary Earps, who probably still has nightmares about them, such has been the regularity that Weir's done that against their arch rivals in recent years. Of course, one thing that will be a concern to Manchester City fans is the increasing speculation that Weir might be heading for pastures new in the summer, with links abroad particularly seeming to strengthen for the Scot. Time will tell. He's been a huge contributor to things this season. Scored 2 as they came from behind to win 3-1 in the Conti Cup final. On by Rowe. Well tackled. Good in there from Stanway. And now Manchester City can break through Hemp. Kelly. Stanway, low-driven cross. Harding was there. Hemp. Through for Weir. Weir's kept it in play, and City have 2. Brilliant assist by Caroline Weir, and there was Khadija Bunny Shaw. Well, it's not quite time for Manchester City to get their passports out, but they're going a long way at the back end of this first half to sealing European football next season. Under pressure from Tash Harding, we just managed to poke it across, and there was Shaw, and Manchester City have two. Long, long way back for Reading now. Well, that goal has a real psychological impact on this game as well, with both bosses preparing their respective half-time team talks. Just makes it feel that much more difficult a task for Reading to get back into this one now. Are a side that will be low on confidence. They have been struggling for form. It's unignorable. Winless in their last 10 in all competitions. 7 of those defeats. Great run this by Blackstad that started deep in our own half. Helped on for Stanway. Kelly. Harding intercepts. Kelly once more. There's a bit of chaos back there. Scrambled out for a corner. Reading right now just trying to survive through to half-time. Gemma Evans puts it out for the set piece. Back with Maloney. Plenty of changes coming for both of these squads in the summer, no doubt. This is the way things go. Reading boss Kelly Chambers saying about the upcoming transfer window. What I'm really excited about is having a big core of the group moving to a second season together. Something that I haven't had over the last couple of windows. I've had a turnaround of 8 to 10 players in the last 2 transfer windows. We've started something now. Laid foundations. This season was always going to be one of those. The players are getting to know each other. I'm learning about the new players, which would suggest that Reading will maybe have fewer changes to their squad than some across the league this summer. Headed collision, and Blackstad's come off the worst of the two. Thankfully, Julie Blackstad seems okay to continue. Elsewhere, Everton have just gone 1-0 up at Brighton. And Manchester United still in front, of course. That's the key game. Links to our game. As well on West Ham against Arsenal in East London, because as things stand, of course, there's a long, long way to go. Arsenal would be taking the title on goal difference. Shows the beauty of the unpredictability of sport. I don't think approaching half-time you'd have got many people thinking that out of Arsenal and Chelsea, one would be losing and one would be drawing today. That's the fun of covering the game we love. As for Manchester City, they're doing their bit to seal that 3rd spot. Continue this remarkable run that they've been on. City with 20 wins from their last 22 games in all competitions. Well placed to make it 21 from 23 here. Here's Hemp. Is there a third before half-time? Just over the head of Shaw. Comes back for Stanway. Struck by Bronze. Comes off Shaw. Stanway fighting to win it back against the tenacious Rowe. He does really well to release Rose. And Rose has got the wrong side of Greenwood. Here goes Rose being held back. It's still Rose. And Rose to strike one, just over. Deanne Rose at it again. Just had too much skill for Alex Greenwood here, spinning away from Greenwood. Was being held back. I'd be surprised if we don't go back and see Greenwood pick up a booking for that. Just leaning back, put it over the bar. Into stoppage time at the end of this first half. There is only a minute added on. Haven't really had any delays of any real note. Forward towards Rose. Walsh. Bronze. Manchester City won't get a third before half-time because they've run out of time, but they'll be very content with their first half's work here in Berkshire as they look to finish off the WSL season with yet another win to take them confirmed, signed, sealed and delivered into third. And at the break, they're well placed to do that. Lauren Hemp had them in front in the 33rd minute, and then Khadija Bunny-Shaw made it 5 minutes before the half-time interval. At the break here, it's Reading 0. Manchester City 2. Welcome back to Berkshire for the second half of Reading versus Manchester City. With the visitors 45 minutes away from sealing Champions League football next season. They're in that very deep blue, almost black kit, attacking from left to right as we look at things from our commentary box in this second half. And Reading in the blue and white. Reading, of course, in their blue and white hoops, attacking from right to left as we're looking at things. Now, Bethan Roberts was stripped and seemingly ready to come on at half-time. But for now, has not come on yet. The Welsh defender, teenager potentially not far away from coming on. So Manchester City looking to finish the job in style. And what a recovery job it has been this season. 12 straight wins in all competitions. The first half goals from Lauren Hemp and Khadija Bunny-Shaw have put them in a position where, unless they end up remarkably losing this game from here, they will be assured of that third and final Champions League spot, regardless of what happens at Kingsmeadow, where in and of itself a quite extraordinary story is unfolding. Manchester United were 2-1 up at half-time. But 2 minutes into the second half, which is a few moments ahead of us, Sam Kerr has made it 2-2. Drama white to the end. And we might have a goal here, as that's a great ball in by Kelly. And neither Shaw nor Hemp could quite get there to tap it in. Certainly be hungry for more goals, Manchester City. They haven't lacked them this season. Indeed, that second goal has taken them up to 108 goals across the campaign in all competitions, level with their tally from last season. So if they can score one more, they'll be up to a record in a season. Scored 7 goals or more in a game on a record 4 occasions last season, and this season they've been in similarly impressive goal-scoring form. Managed to find 6 or more 5 times across this campaign, including against Birmingham City in midweek. It's quite fitting that when they passed 100 goals for the second season in a row, and they did it this time around, goal to reach that milestone of 100 goals for the season came from Lauren Hemp in her 100th appearance for the club in the 7-2 win against Brighton. Big thanks should go to MCW Stato on Twitter for those excellent Manchester City notable numbers. Great to see various fan accounts and creator accounts across the league that do so much to raise the standard and the profile and coverage of the women's game. That account is certainly one of those. Bryson looks back. All the way back to Maloney. Woodham couldn't bring it under control. Kelly Chambers on the bottom left of your shot there, not far away from Lucy Bronze. Chambers saying that in terms of next season, she wants her side to be more consistent with their performances, more consistent their playing style, more consistent in terms of results. Of course, they'll have to do that without Tash Harding. Chambers saying on Harding, it was one of those that in terms of pushing forward, and in terms of the freshness, where Tash was and where we were, it was a case of that decision was made, and then she can start looking at what her next steps are. Weir. Blackstad on. Hemp. What a devastating combination they're starting to be down the left. Just learning each other's games since Blackstad joined in January. Down the line for Hemp. Harding is there. Well, there has been another goal at Kingsmeadow. And Chelsea do love a bit of drama there. You think of that Sam Kerr goal in the iconic celebration after the winner against Aston Villa. It's going to be similarly raucous there right now, because they've just scored twice in 4 minutes to go 3-2 up now. That means that as things stand, they will take the title. Good cross on the run. And Dowie was in there sniffing something. Roebuck could gather without too much trouble. Well, you might say that Chelsea have done Manchester City a favour by coming back to be 3-2 up, but in truth it doesn't really affect Manchester City too much. I know that they only need a draw, and they're 2-0 up anyway. Here goes Kelly, looking for a third. And it's spilt by Maloney into harm's way. Got a bit lucky. Wasn't one of Manchester City's galaxy of stars in terms of attacking talent there to gobble up the rebound. Greenwood. Bronze. And over the bar. City pushing and probing for number 3. Shaw looking for a second of the game. Bunny Shaw, who it's well worth having a look out for a big little interview, to be specific, that our young reporter Priya did with the Manchester City striker about a few serious questions and a few not so serious questions. Well worth a look on the Barclays FA WSL social media to find that. Van Hevermaet, fouled by Stanway. Reading looking for a goal. I've struggled for them in recent times, it must be said. Last time they scored 2 in a WSL game was in the 2-1 win at Everton, and that was back on the 6th of February. Since then, have taken just 3 points in 9 matches. 3 draws and 6 defeats. And in that time, they've only scored 4 goals. Right now, they're trying not to concede a third. Here's Bronze. Taken over by Stanway. Great tackle by Rose, who's so lethal on the counter-attack. Can show that again here. Up against Kennedy. Rose needs support though. Rose's cross. Dowie was trying to get there. Couldn't quite do so. You can hear the excitement from the home support every time Deanne Rose gets on the ball in particular. They know what a creative threat she is. Getting towards that point of the game where both bosses will look towards their respective benches as well. For Manchester City in particular, no shortage of them. Vicky Losada could make a comeback from injury if coming on. Pushing for a welcome return, having not featured since the end of February. Also the Australian winger Hayley Rasso, Lionesses striker Ellen White, and defender Ruby Mace. Midfielder Laura Coombs, who came on and scored in midweek. Philippa Angeldal are the outfield options for Manchester City, as well as the 2 backup keepers, Cara Keating and Karim Benamor-Tayeb. As for Reading, maybe not quite so many options. Hannah Poulter and Stewart, the 2 substitute keepers, then Tia Prima, Chloe Peplow, Bethan Roberts, who was ready to come on but hasn't come on yet, and Sanne Cholsgaard. Dowie releases Rose. Chance of Reading. Rose, Dowie, strikes one but blocked by Blackstad. The pass from Rose wasn't quite exactly where Dowie might have wanted it. Now Eikeland. 10 minutes into the second half. Reading pushing for a goal to give them a bit of hope. Kelly Chambers was adamant that she didn't want their campaign to peter out. Rose cross on the run. Good little spell this for Reading. Walsh. Kira Walsh will be one of this core of the Manchester City side, who will form a core of Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses squad for this summer as well. I imagine there'll be a lot of similar names to the GB squad for the Olympics last year. Manchester City providing 10 of that 22-player squad, where Caroline Weir, Kim Little and Sophie Ingle were the only 3 players in it who were not English. Of course, Weir and Little, beg your pardon, Scottish. Ingle Welsh. Here's Hemp. It falls for Shaw, deflected over. Reading just about survive. Manchester City pressing for more. Khadija Bunny Shaw almost getting her second of the afternoon. It's by no means one-way traffic. Reading offering a threat on the break. But they're in danger of being blown away here by Manchester City side, who are particularly good at capitalising on tiring defences. Kelly to whip the corner in swinging. Headed only half away. Weir can recycle. Back in by Kelly. Punched away by Maloney. Walsh on the turn. Hits her own teammate. And then the pressure is relieved by the foul. Oh, this actually looks to be quite a bad injury. It's always a really worrying sign when the player doesn't seem to be moving a huge amount, and just the urgency with the way the medics were urged on too. Hopefully it doesn't prove to be quite as serious as it first looked. Kelly Chambers just passing on some instructions in what's been a strange old season for Reading. They lost their first 6 games through September and early October against Manchester United and Tottenham away, and at home against Arsenal and Everton. Then they had this remarkable run where they won 5 in a row either side of the new year, and if you look at it over a longer period, they had 7 wins and a draw, taking 22 points from a possible 24 between mid-October right the way up to early February. Had a 1-0 win against Chelsea, who potentially could be crowned champions today. Of course, they won 1-0 against Chelsea in mid-December here. That was probably the highlight of that run. And then since mid-February, they've struggled once more. And the way that's all sort of averaged out in the table, between an exemplary run of mid-season form and some poor form to finish the season, and then at the start, has been seeing them land in mid-table. Thankfully, Faye Bryson doesn't seem too bad and looks ready to come back on. Bryson, who joined from Bristol City last summer, born in Liverpool. Once upon a time, youth team player with Everton. He's been a regular at fullback for Reading this season. Maloney. Speaking of regulars for Reading, Grace Maloney's been a fixture in goal across recent times here for Reading. More than recent times, really. Made her 200th appearance for Reading in the 0-0 draw against Spurs on the 6th of March. Of course, it won't surprise you to know, given her excellence at the top level of the English women's domestic game. It's been capped as well by Republic of Ireland too. It's actually a fan of another team that play in hoops, of Queen's Park Rangers, the side Grace Maloney supports. Greenwood fighting to keep it alive there. Now mark about to be passed here, and so often this season that has been when Manchester City have really cemented their control on a game. Just taking a glance through things in the build-up to this one, and half of their goals in the league this season have been scored in the last half an hour of matches. That gives you a sense as to just how good Manchester City have been at striking late. Rose does really well there on the press. Won it briefly, couldn't keep her footing. It's been so impressive for Reading this season, Deanne Rose. Unsurprisingly, goals of Rose and Dowie were massive in that mid-season run they had. It's been an important goal in the title race. Arsenal have managed to find a way through away at West Ham. Stina Blackstenius on target. As Rose crosses. But again, Reading aren't on target here, because for Rose's for All Rose's excellence in creating it. She's not got somewhere to finish it. Good tackle by Harding on Hemp. Shaw. Nice to slide one through. Covering defence was good. And Tash Harding seems in a bit of discomfort here. Now, life is not a fairy tale, but it would not feel fair if it was to end this way at Reading for Tash Harding after everything she's done for the club. The 33-year-old who has found a home here across such a long period of time. He's in some discomfort. Of course, won't be at Reading next season. Playing in front of those home Reading supporters, who today have been joined by a good contingent of Manchester City fans making the trip down from the north. They've been very happy with what they've seen so far. Their side well placed to finish the league season off with yet another win. Assuming they do go on to get victory here, they will have finished the WSL campaign with 9 straight victories since a 1-0 loss at Chelsea back on the 6th of February. Indeed, that defeat against Chelsea combined with a 1-1 home draw against Arsenal when there was a Heath heartbreaker in stoppage time from Tobin Heath for the only 2 times since mid-November that Manchester City have failed to win. 20 wins from 22 across all competitions. Tasha Harding trooping off, still doesn't quite look 100%. 33-year-old, previously of Cardiff City, also Bristol Academy as it was known then, and once of Manchester City. Made 10 appearances for the Citizens back in 2015, then had a spell at Liverpool before joining Reading on a free transfer in January 2018, and what a player she's been for them in the 4.5 years since. She's made more than a century of appearances. Today her 104th, to go with 7 goals. 6 of those scored last season. Will be missed in these parts, no doubt. Similarly iconic figure within the club at Reading, to the likes of Saya Farrah-Williams in terms of the amount of appearances, the leadership she offers in the dressing room, and how valuable she is to them. Foul by Stanway on Rose. Can Reading find one just to try and put some nerves in the Manchester City camp? One thing that will certainly make them a fair bit less nervous is that there has been another goal at Stamford Bridge, at Kingsmeadow, I should say, not Stamford Bridge, beg your pardon. And Chelsea have now gone 4-2 up. Kerr made it 2-2 in the 47th minute. In the 51st, Pernilla Harder set up Guro Reiten. Now they've gone 2 goals up. In by Bryson. Headed away by Blackstad, who concedes the corner. Sam Kerr scoring 2nd of the game at Kingsmeadow, so with a quarter of that one left, it does seem increasingly likely Chelsea are taking the title now. What a comeback. Certainly haven't maybe necessarily done it the easy way in recent weeks, Chelsea. They've made it a fair bit more nervous for their supporters than you might say Manchester City have made it for their fans in the chase of 3rd. It's been great drama to enjoy. Corner in from Woodham, got her angles wrong. Still no changes yet from either side. You'd imagine it can't be too far away. That's already at the midway point of this second half. Almost. Greenwood. Well cut out. Blackstad battling for it. It's good persistence from Reading to win the throw, though. Nicely done by Amalia Eikeland, the Norwegian international. Woodham was looking for Rose, instead found Bronze, nodded on by Van Havermaar. Kennedy fouled by Natasha Dowie. Who's a touch frustrated, hasn't seen much of the ball, Natasha Dowie, today, but she isn't the kind of striker that does. He's a bit of a serial poacher. It's been really impressive since swapping Milan for the Majewski in the summer. 6 goals in the WSL this season. Niece of Ian Dowie, former Everton, Liverpool and AC Milan forward. And of the Lionesses as well. I know that at points this season, with her excellent domestic form, there have been calls for Dowie to get an opportunity with Serena Wiegmann's Lionesses. That call hasn't come. Shaw. Stanway. Kelly. Kelly to try one. And well saved by Maloney. Even by Chloe Kelly's high standards, that would have been a magnificent goal. A shimmy, then the shot, and Maloney had to be at her best. Manchester City, as every second goes by, just moving a step closer to where they want to be next season. But of course, before next season starts, we've got the FA Cup final on Sunday the 15th of May. Deja Blue, as the Manchester City supporters fancast brilliantly put it. Couldn't have put it better myself. And tickets are very much on sale, £20 for adults, £2.50 for kids. Well worth going down and getting involved. Even if you're not a supporter of either of those two shades of blue, it will be a great occasion with many of the very best players, not just in the English and domestic circuit, but from across the world on show at Wembley. Gareth Taylor on the bottom right of shot there. Manchester City boss, who was under a lot of pressure at the start of this season with results not going well. Injury list that really was actually probably quite literally about as long as his arm. And he's managed to come out of the other side of it. Of course, as soon as this game is done, then they'll be starting to prepare for that FA Cup final. Hemp, really good tackle on Hemp, and it had to be as well from Bryson. Nice turn from Kennedy. Comes off Weir. There's Walsh. Now Hemp. Bronze. Now Stanway. Stanway in off the chest of Shaw. Saved by Maloney. Remember, if you want to get involved on social media, you can at Reading FC Women for all things pertaining to the Royals, at Man City Women for everything around the citizens, and at Barclays FA WSL for everything across the league. That account up to around the 200,000 followers mark, so why not help it get past that? And if you've got any questions, comments or thoughts for me as your matchday commentator, it would be great to hear from you. I'm on at This Is McCann, MCCANN. Feel free to ping me a tweet about what you've made of what's been a really exciting final day across the league. Manchester City will be quite happy that from their point of view, it's been about as stress-free thus far as they'd have liked. Could be the right foot of Bryson here, or the left foot of Woodham. Steph Catley has made it 2-0 for Arsenal at West Ham. As long as Chelsea are still winning, that's irrelevant. In by Bryson, headed half away. Greenwood. There's plenty of activity going on in front of us, various substitutes being ready. City look like they might be about to make a double change. A touch from Harding. Change being made by Reading, experienced Danish international Sanne Trossgaard, who started here in the 0-0 draw last time out against Leicester. Will come on for Justine van Hevermaet, the Belgian international. For Manchester City, Chloe Kelly will make way. I'm sure her minutes are still being carefully managed after her return from that long time out injured. And a very welcome return to Manchester City. Colours out there on the pitch for Vicky Losada, who comes on in place of Caroline Weir. Manchester City fans will hope it's not the last time that they see Caroline Weir in a Manchester City shirt in the FA Women's Super League, with of course speculation around her future for next season. As for Losada, it's welcome back for her. Played a half in the 4-1 FA Cup win against arch rivals Manchester United on the 27th of February. So he's back after just over 2 months out. Get to come on here with City in a relatively comfortable position. Instantly onto the ball and trying to make things happen, Losada. Spaniard who was signed in summer of last year after a trophy-laden career at Barcelona, where she was captain as well, won 6 league titles, 17 domestic cups and shields. Once upon a time, a WSL and FA Cup winner with Arsenal as well, Vicky Losada, back in 2016. Roebuck roaming a long way out there. Kennedy. And for Roebuck. Taken down nicely by Greenwood. On by Bronze. Stanway, classic Bronze on the underlap, very nicely done. Just trying to find Shaw. Ellen White is just getting ready to come on for Manchester City. Not a bad player to bring on, to say the very least. Knowing the way Manchester City's shape and structure goes, I would expect that that would be on for Khadija Bunny Shaw. Hayley Vasso's first touches since coming on. So he's been a valuable addition since joining from Everton. Stanway. Hemp. Walsh. Blackstad. Laura Coombs also seems to be getting ready to come on too. So another double change incoming for Manchester City. Lasada, lovely feed. Now it's Hemp. Just a slight miscue from Bronze, who couldn't make contact. Rasso's ball in. Reading survives somehow. You would say that Manchester City look more likely to find a third now than Reading do to get one back. But the beauty of sport is the unpredictability. We've certainly seen that today. I don't think many people would have at half-time expected to see Manchester United in front against Chelsea and West Ham holding Arsenal. Here is that double change as advertised. Ellen White and Laura Coombs, the two to come on. Kira Walsh will make way for Coombs. So Walsh can start thinking about the battle she'll have with Ji So-yoon in the FA Cup final next week. The week after next against Chelsea. And as I'd expected, Khadija Bunny Shaw, who was on target earlier on, makes way for Ellen White. They've been sharing that central striking role for Manchester City across much of the season. And by Bronze, nodded down. White almost on target with her first touch, just trying to nudge it towards goal. And then out it goes. Elsewhere, Tottenham 1-0 up against Leicester City, thanks to Ashley Neville, who's had an excellent season of it. Brighton and Everton is 1-1. The reason I mention those games is just because we're starting to get an idea of how it seems like the table will end up. Chelsea moving towards the title with Arsenal in second, Manchester City in third, just in front of their arch rivals Manchester United. Tottenham in fifth, and then Reading could have finished sixth today if they managed to win this game and West Ham and Brighton both lost. But right now that does not seem to be happening. It looks likely that West Ham will finish in sixth, Brighton in seventh, Reading in eighth, Aston Villa in ninth, and then Everton, Leicester and relegated Birmingham completing the dozen. I mention the dozen because I know that expansion has been a topic of discussion. Gareth Taylor, Manchester City's boss, has said that he would advocate the league looking to integrate more teams sooner rather than later. Emma Hayes has also spoken out in favour of it as more investment comes into the women's game. Amalia Eikeland makes way for Tia Primer. And Chloe Peplow, the former Spurs midfielder, will come on as well. Rachel Rose put in a good shift in that midfield area, has been combative and impressive as per usual. Peplow, a player who went right through the England age groups, and there's still a lot of belief that she can get right to that top level. Kelly Chambers known for being so good at working with young talent. Referee just having a word with Trossard and Primer. Trossard and Stanway, I should say. Confirmation of that second change. Tia Primer coming on for Amalia Eikeland. So Reading have now made 3 substitutions. Manchester City 4. As the benches start to get emptied somewhat. Will be the lethal left foot of Greenwood. Flicked on, and Maloney has to be sharp at her back post to keep it at 2-0. Immediately tries to launch the counter, and here goes Faye Bryson. Hemp charges that one down though. Tiana Cooper with the error. Well, credit to Hemp. Day of change for both sides, of course, in different ways. One notable thing for Reading, of course, as we saw noted pre-match, Brooke Chaplin retiring. Kelly Chambers saying she was disappointed but can't speak highly enough about her time here. Hopes her experiences in women's football can help her to stay in the sport in some capacity. Bryson gets there. Bryson seems to have hurt herself a bit in making that clearance. To be walking a touch gingerly, the fullback. Ball in and turned wide. Not far away from a third. And then White so often is very good at sort of gobbling up chances like that. Poacher supreme. That she works on training of having teammates sort of zing crosses and zip balls into her at all sorts of odd angles to try and work on her first time finishing. Sort of quick flex reflexes. Posada's corner. And this time it is headed in by Ellen White. I described her as the poacher supreme. She was frustrated at not having got a goal and having to settle for a corner, but then scored from the corner. And frustration turns to delight. Free for Manchester City, who can definitely get their passports out. They'll be in Europe next season, no doubt about that. Sada's corner. Classic forwards downward header. It's not that much pace on it from Ellen White, but there doesn't need to be, because the placement of it is perfect. There's nothing Maloney can do. 4th goal of the season in the WSL for Ellen White. Former Arsenal and Chelsea forward. And of course, a Lioness's stalwart will be a big part of Serena Wiegmann's side at the Euros this summer. It's easy to forget that in this glorious sunshine, as things look so optimistic for Manchester City, it has by no means always been this way. Quite the opposite. Had a horrendous run of results at the start of the season. 1 point across the first 13 games of the campaign. In all competitions, they lost 7 of them. left them in all sorts of trouble, both in terms of qualifying for the next stages of the Conti Cup, being out of the Champions League without making it to the group stages, and then being way off the pace in the WSL too. Of course, went on to win the Conti Cup. We've recovered to, seems we can say with some certainty now, finish third in the league. And we'll be in the FA Cup final next week. Tickets available £20 for adults, just £2.50 for kids. Well worth a day out at Wembley, hopefully in the sunshine on the 15th of May. White just loses a footing for a second. Will be yet another 3 points. Manchester City's excellent away run. 15 wins in their last 18 away games in the WSL it will be. It's their home form at the start of this season, actually, oddly, that was really causing them problems. Though they did have that 5-0 away defeat against Arsenal in late September. And that 1-0 defeat at Chelsea in mid-February. Generally, they've been excellent on their travels. Their home form certainly, of course, has picked up in recent times too. As for Reading, has sort of been a bit of a fortress for them here. 16 points in their 10 home games by contrast. Just the 9 in their 11 away matches. Here's Rasso. Rasso's ball in, flashes past everybody, including Kelly at the far post. He's desperately trying to make it 4. Loney to send it forward. Can Reading find a late consolation for their fans in a head-to-head that has so often been so disappointing for them? Only won once in their last 12, including this game against Manchester City. They've lost 9 of them. Here goes Rasso. Rasso goes down, and it's a penalty. Hayley Rasso just too quick for the Reading defence. It'll be a booking as well for Lily Woodham. And a chance for the visitors to grab number 4. Alex Greenwood to step up. He's been reliable from the spot, consistently for Manchester City. Will be up against Grace Maloney. If she scores, it will be the 5th game in a row where Manchester City have scored 4 or more. And the 7th time in their last 8 that they've scored 4 or more. They found scoring goals pretty easy recently. Are they going to get another one here as we tick into stoppage time? Greenwood against Maloney. And Greenwood scores a lovely composed penalty. And as we tick into stoppage time here in Berkshire, Manchester City go 4-0 up. And for the 7th time in their last 8 matches across all competitions, they've scored 4 goals or more. They just cannot stop scoring at the moment. They've already confirmed it as a club record season in terms of the goals they've managed to rack up, thanks to their efforts today. Now they have 4 once more. On back-to-back 4-0 against Everton in the League and Cup towards the end of March. Both of those here, both of those at home, I should say. And then had a double header away in League and Cup against West Ham United. Won 2-0 first time around and then 4-1 in the FA Cup quarter-final, then 3 home games in a row where they've blown teams away. 4-0 against Leicester, 7-2 against Brighton, and 6-0 against Birmingham City. 4 minutes added on at the end of this one. We're into the second, of course. Mere moments left for Reading's season. There's been some positives from it, no doubt. 7 clean sheets in the WSL this time around, the most they managed since the 2018-2019 season. They had that mid-season blistering form where they won 7 and drew 1. But it's the poor run to end the campaign and the 4 straight defeats at the start of it that mean that they end as they so often have been in that mid-table pack. Certainly are a model to clubs looking to come up from the FA Women's Championship about how to build your way into the division, though. Under Kelly Chambers, ever since winning WSL 2 back in the 2015 season. Kelly Chambers was realistic pre-match, did say that our game will be Manchester City's 3rd in a week, but didn't see that as much of an advantage given what a big squad they've got. Said the plan was to tactically try and frustrate them and be really strong defensively. They were for the opening half hour or so, but Lauren Hemp got City in front. Khadija Bunny-Shaw made it 2 before half-time. And then Ellen White and Alex Greenwood have added to that tally late on. Into the last minute of the minimum 4 added on. Elsewhere, the full-time whistle imminent at Kingsmeadow. Chelsea 4-2 up against Manchester United. Brighton and Everton's finished 1-1. Tottenham have won 1-0 against Leicester. And Arsenal did their job in vain. 2-0 winners at West Ham. Is there a final flourish for either side? A consolation for Reading, or a 5th for Manchester City. Stanway. Touch for Philippa Angeldal, who's recently come on. Now Bronze. Bronze fouled. If the Euros coming up this summer, Lionesses fans will hope it's nothing too serious. Thankfully, Lucy Bronze seems okay. That will be that here in Berkshire. The blue moon very much seems to be rising in Manchester right now. An emphatic way to seal 3rd place for Gareth Taylor's side with a 13th straight win in all competitions. A 21st in 23 games since mid-November. It has been an emphatic recovery this season from an injury-hit start to the campaign for Manchester City. 4-0 winners here at Reading to seal that 3rd and final Champions League spot in style. They can get their passports out because they will be playing in Europe next season. And I hope that unlike this season, they can make sure they don't slip up in qualifying as they did against Real Madrid. As for Reading, a really disappointing end to the campaign, just 3 points from their last 10 league games after that incredible mid-season run. And it means that Kelly Chambers' side finish in 8th in the table. The full-time score here in Berkshire, Reading 0, Manchester City 4.